Purposely. Your life, God's purpose. Listen at purposely.com.
What's something that shouldn't work, that's entirely backwards from how you think it should work, but it actually does work? I found an interview with Dan Ariely, a professor of psychology and behavioral economics at Duke University, which behavioral economics, who knew? In it, he brings to light some contradictions to what we typically believe about life that are actually more rewarding. Like, for example, giving away your money instead of hoarding it, caring for others instead of exclusively focusing on ourselves, and focusing on small goals and victories, which lead to more reward and success than actually setting up a huge ambitious goal but not taking steps toward it. I would say that often when I think I have it all worked out, that's probably when I need to start working against what I think I know. Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith, according to Hebrews 12, introduced us to a counterintuitive way of life first. It goes against the social and hierarchical views of this world and leads us to a place of lasting peace and freedom and joy. Instead of grasping and claiming for ourselves, it involves release and thinking outward. And that is what we're talking about this week here on the Bible for Busy People podcast. I'm Jen. I am the chief busy person in residence here, and I'm excited to take a look at the book of Luke this week, which has a specific emphasis on the upside-down kingdom. Now, it's important to know a little bit of background about the author of the book of Luke. The Bible Project notes that Luke is uniquely focused on the social implications of Jesus' life, death, and resurrection. That Jesus came to bring freedom using a Greek word that means release for freedom, referring back to the Old Testament practice of Jubilee, a time when all Israelite slaves were released, people's debts were canceled, and sold land was returned to families. This was all a symbolic enactment of God's liberating justice and mercy, according to the Bible Project. Other things to note about Luke was that he was a physician. He had a better grasp of the Greek language and culture than his peers who wrote the Gospels. And he was concerned with putting together a chronological, orderly account of Jesus' life. He was also mainly addressing Gentile readers. Antonio Fuentes writes on Catholic.com that Luke intended to show the continuity of the Bible and the fulfillment of promises through Christ, the redemption for all people. Today we're talking about the least being the greatest, one characteristic of the upside-down kingdom. How odd, right? Like, wouldn't you think the greatest is the greatest? We're starting today in Luke chapter 9, verse 43, which says, "And they were all amazed at the greatness of God. While everyone was marveling at all that Jesus did, he said to his disciples, 'Listen carefully to what I am about to tell you. The Son of Man is going to be delivered into the hands of men.' But they did not understand what this meant. It was hidden from them so that they did not grasp it, and they were afraid to ask him about it. An argument started among the disciples as to which of them would be the greatest. Jesus, knowing their thoughts, took a little child and had him stand beside him. Then he said to them, 'Whoever welcomes this little child in my name welcomes me, and whoever welcomes me welcomes the one who sent me. For it is the one who is least among you all who is the greatest.' 'Master,' said John, 'we saw someone driving out demons in your name, and we tried to stop him because he is not one of us.' 'Do not stop him,' Jesus said, 'for whoever is not against you is for you.'" Now, three things happen here that seem unrelated, but they're actually connected. First, Jesus says he's going to die, and this is so unexpected to the disciples who were just beginning to understand Jesus as the Messiah, the Savior, the Redeemer, the King. Why on earth would the Son of God die? They can't comprehend it. It's backwards. Second, Jesus stops their arguing about who is the greatest by telling them to be like a small child. The child is the greatest, not these grown men arguing. And third, the disciples want to stop someone who's driving out demons in Jesus' name. And you get the sense they're almost offended that someone is like encroaching on their territory here. There is pride and exclusivity. Jesus tells them that they are, again, missing the point. When we attempt to elevate ourselves, Jesus tells us to go lower, not higher. And he set that example for us. It's so important that he has to say it again and again and again in the book of Luke alone. In Luke chapter 14, verse 7, it says, When he noticed how the guests picked the places of honor at the table, he told them this parable. When someone invites you to a wedding feast, do not take the place of honor, for a person more distinguished than you may have been invited. If so, the host who invited both of you will come and say to you, give this person your seat. Then, humiliated, you will have to take the least important place. But when you are invited, take the lowest place, so that when your host comes, he will say to you, friend, move up to a better place. Then you will be honored in the presence of all the other guests. For all those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. Then Luke 18:9-17 says, to some who are confident of their own righteousness and look down on everyone else, Jesus told them this parable. 2 men went up to the temple to pray, one a Pharisee and the other a tax collector. The Pharisee stood by himself and prayed, God, I thank you that I am not like other people, robbers, evildoers, adulterers, or even like this tax collector. I fast twice a week and give 1/10 of all I get. But the tax collector stood at a distance. He would not even look up to heaven, but beat his breast and said, God, have mercy on me, a sinner. I tell you that this man, rather than the other, went home justified before God. For all those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. And then for lack of time, I'm not going to read it, but in Luke 22:24-30, there's a repeat of what happened earlier. The disciples are trying to get rid of children, and Jesus invites them in, lifting them up as an example, saying that the kingdom is theirs. What does that mean to you, by the way? How do you receive the kingdom like a child? Here's what it makes me think of. Kids who are unendingly curious. They are audaciously bold in their questions and opinions. Kids who are delighted and in awe and wonder of just everything around them because everything feels magical to them. I feel like all of this is counterintuitive to what we believe, but when we see it lived out, it is so clear. And Jesus lives it out clearly for us, that when we exalt ourselves, we will be humbled, but when we humble ourselves, we'll be exalted. Have you seen examples of this in your life? Do you know someone who is a great example of this in your life? Think that over, and we will chat again tomorrow.
Thank you for listening to The Bible for Busy People. If you need prayer or want to go deeper in your faith, visit our show notes. Will you take a moment to share with a friend and leave a review? It helps the Bible get into even more people's minds and hearts. Find more podcasts that will recharge you at purposely.com.